Hey guys, welcome to another free tutorial video here at tylerduprey.com. Today we're going to be creating a border gradient, and this is something that I use in my current project, my current website, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's a quick, easy tutorial, so let's just go ahead and dive in. Alright, so here I am in CodePen. You can create a free CodePen account at codepen.io. But the first thing I'm going to do is, actually I'll come into my CSS, and I'm going to get the body, and we're going to use a figure tag in this project, and both the body and the figure tag, at least in CodePen, have extra margin around it by default, so let's go ahead and zero that out. Then I'm going to come up here in my HTML, and I'm going to create some containers that, just for the purposes of this demo, will contain our project here. So let's create a second div that will be the container that will hold our profile photo with a gradient border. And so let's style these containers here so that they can help display our project. And so let's give this a height of 100 viewport height. And then what I want to do is give this container, I want to be able to see it. So I'm going to give it a border of 1 pixel solid red, just so that we can see it. And then what I want to do is I want to set the container to the exact width and height that I want my profile image to be. And the reason I do that is because this profile image is going to be made to fit perfectly inside of whatever container we put it in. But that container just needs to have a fixed height and width. And ideally that fixed height and width needs to be square in order to display the profile image in the best way. So what I want to do is give it a fixed width of 500 pixels and then a height of 500 pixels. So now we can see it on our page here. And what I want to do to display it in the middle of our page is use the flexbox centering technique inside of our page wrap. And so we'll say justify content center, and we will align items center. And that's going to center it vertically and horizontally on our page. All right, so we have our container. That's great. So let's start styling our actual profile photo. Let's get into the project. So the first thing we do is create a figure tag here. And I will link to more information about the figure tag. It's just a more semantic way to mark up an image. And so, yeah, look below this video on my website. There should be more links about this. And so let's also create an image tag. We'll leave the source blank for now. For the alt, we need to put in a description of the image. So this is a profile image for Tyler Duprey. I'm going to use my profile. You guys can use any image you want, or you can copy mine. And then before we put the source in here, I want to use a class. And I want to say profile pic. And then for the figure tag, this is actually going to serve as the border for the profile pic, so I actually want to explicitly say that. So actually, let's just call it pic border. There you go. So let's put in our image here, and I'm hosting my profile image on GitHub Pages, and so you guys can use that for this demo, or you can use another image that you have hosted. There's also the images at Lorem Pixum. So you can go to Lorem Pixum and you can get images there as well. So like this dog image, you want to make sure the height and width settings are square though. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to start styling this. Now you can already see that our image is overlapping our container. Any project where you're using images, there's a responsive or fluid image technique that you should always use. So at the top of my CSS, I always grab every image and I say max width 100%. Now images are never going to overflow their containers like that, so that's good. The other thing I want to do, let's select both the pic border and the profile pic, and let's set their width to be 100% of their container and their height to be 100% of their container. That just makes sure that they're always going to be 100%. Now for this project, I want the I want it to be a circle. I just like the look of it. So we're gonna do border radius, and we're gonna do 50%. That should, yeah, that's gonna give us a full circle here. And the pick border is there, but it is the same size and width as our image, and so it's hiding behind our image. So let's start styling that so that we can see it and so that it appears as a border. So this is how we're going to create our gradient. Now, what you could do if you didn't want a gradient borders, you could just say border, I don't know, maybe 15 pixels solid. I don't know, maybe make it a gray color there. And now you have a border. But we don't want that. We want to do something a little bit more dynamic looking, something a little cooler looking here. And so we don't want to use border. What we want to do is we want to say background image, and we want to put in a gradient in here to get that nice cool gradient that we're going to use. And I have a gradient saved, so I'm going to paste that in, and you can pause the video and copy mine or create your own gradient. You can put any gradient you want in here, and I'll link to more information on gradients under the video as well then. And these are just the colors that I like. Now we still can't see it, can we? And the reason why is because it's the exact same height and width as the image that's in front of it. And so what we want to do is in the pick border rule here, we want to add some height and width so that we can see just enough around this image for it to look like a border. And the way we want to add that height and width is through padding. So we're going to create this padding, and what padding does is it's going to add height and width to our pick border. It'll say, okay, the current pick border is 100% of this container, but now we're going to add a certain amount of padding, which will add a certain amount of height and width around that. And so what we want to do is say maybe 20 pixels of padding, and there you go. We have our border image. Really simple, really easy. It's a nice little border around there. It's a gradient, so it's a little cooler than like a normal border. The only issue I see at this point is that it's overflowing our container. And that is because it is set to 100% of the width of the container, but this padding added height and width to it, like I said. And so now it's overflowing. And the way we can fix that is we can tell the browser not to add the height and width to the overall height and width of the element. And the way we do that is we say box sizing, and we do border box. And so now what we're telling the browser is don't make this element larger because of the padding. And then so what the browser does is it keeps this element at the same width and height, but it pushes, the padding pushes the image inside of it to be smaller. And so we've actually made this profile pic smaller by 20 pixels all around. And so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in right behind this 20 pixels rule. I'm going to add a note. And the reason is I want to tell other developers, or tell myself if I come back to this project months later, what this padding is doing exactly. So I want to say width of the profile pic border. And what this does is it tells myself or other developers, hey, this isn't just normal padding. This is functioning as the width of the border. And so we now know that we can adjust this if we ever want to adjust the width of the border. And so that's really cool. I think this looks great. We can now use this in any project we want. All we have to do is put it inside of a container with a fixed width and height. How easy is that? So I'm actually going to remove this red border. Now that we can see how this is all coming together, we can just remove that. And look how great that looks. Okay, so hopefully you guys liked this tutorial. Real quick and easy one, but I think it's a valuable one, and it's a lot of fun to do. So hopefully you got something out of it. Be sure to check out my website for more tutorials. Reach out to me on my contact page or find me on Twitter at Tyler Duprey. And until next time, happy coding, guys.